Hello and welcome to another season of Beyond the Flame. This time we are in Team 25 Barcelona, launching the second season, so it's very good to be here. Now for this season we are doing something slightly different. We aren't talking about ITSM, we are going all into knowledge, automation and AI, and really trying to understand why and what and kind of how businesses can actually get the most out of it. Now, for this episode, we're talking specifically about companies getting smoked by the hype. So really understanding the AI paradox and why companies are kind of getting a little bit struggle. Now, you will see that it is not Ez and I just alone today. We have got Mark.
We've got a celebrity in there.
Yeah, we have got him.
I don't know about that, Ed. You're pretty much a celebrity.
Oh, I don't think so. So, do you mind just quickly introducing yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mark Cruth. I am a modern work coach at Atlassian. I've been with the company about 6 years, and really what it means to be a modern work coach, which by the way is, I like to say, is the best made up role I've ever had.
Yeah, I think you and Dom seem to make up titles all the time.
Right? You know, he's kind of instilled that in me, you know. And really what I did is I fell into this role because I'm huge into the practice side of work. I've been in the agility space for a long time, a lot of organizational change. And as I was doing that, you know, the big thing you find is you can install any tool you want, but you know, what's this line? A fool with a tool is still a fool, just maybe more efficient. And so for me, I brought that into a lot of organizations. Like, let's start with our ways of working. Let's start by being a little bit more intentional. And so when I came into Atlassian, I did that for a lot of our enterprise customers. And then I had the opportunity to kind of go out there a little bit broader. So Dom had brought me in to kind of help me go out and actually go to our customers, the greater world, to talk about how do you get more intentional with your ways of working in order to bring in tools. And you know what? Atlassian tools are built in a way where you can be intentional with them, but you still got to do it. You could be even as amazing as our tools are. I've seen so many organizations fail because they installed the tool and expected it to solve the problem.
People always expect that too much, and they don't necessarily think about the people or process as well.
They don't.
Right?
They forget it's a three-legged stool, right? You know, you take away two of those legs, the thing's going to fall down.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So now that we have Mr. Cruth here, I just wanted to get what is the state of Mark Cruth right now? What are you working on? I know we've talked about you have a little bit of an ACE tour coming up in November. We've done ACE tours in the past, which I love.
I know.
So what you got going on?
Yeah. So right now, we are, of course, as you've learned at Team 225 Europe, we are all in on AI. And the thing is AI is going to come at it from every lens. It's not just AI, it's AI in teamwork, AI in service management, AI in development. And so for me, I'm coming at it from an AI and teamwork. And the big thing for me right now is we're going out there trying to bring more of that practice conversation to the adoption of AI.
Awesome.
Because, again, you brought up the hype.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you're not doing AI right now, you're failing. That's the message we've heard, right?
You're way behind.
You're
being
way behind, right? But the problem is, and some of the fun facts that start coming out. So we recently did a AI collaboration report, which you can actually access online now.
Okay. Perfect.
Beautiful
report. Go get it. Go get it.
Definitely go get it.
That link.
It's and what it was we looked at I think it was 5,000 knowledge workers around the world, all over Europe, US, Asia, everywhere. And we wanted to find out what's going on with AI. One of the biggest stats that stuck out to me, 96% of organizations report that they've brought in AI and it hasn't changed how they worked.
96%.
96%.
That is staggering, but that leads me perfectly onto the first thing that I wanted to ask you. Right, we have heard about some levels of false assumptions that companies are making about their strategy, about the changes it's going to bring to the businesses. Like, what, especially maybe because we're here, is there any particular things that you've heard, or like, what can you say about that kind of trying to get over the hump of false assuming that AI is going to change everything?
I think what it is it's going back and one of the things I actually bring up the tour earlier, one of the things I'm doing, I'm bringing out a lot of these practices to a lot of the different communities around the US and around the world, is going back into starting out with being intentional. And so like from like a leadership perspective, big thing I always talk to leaders about is like, if you're going to bring AI in, awesome. You got to have a vision for that. Why are you bringing AI? What's the role AI is going to play in your organization?
What's your expected outcomes that you're going to get?
Well, and even there too, taking it out from the expected outcomes to the next step, it's now let's actually map what it is we want our AI to do. Because so often you start bringing AI in and we're like, all right, it's going to take that job, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. But we don't get intentional about that. We don't think about why wouldn't we take that job? Because I don't know about you, there's too many customer service calls I get on where all of a sudden it's the AI trying to solve my complex problem, and I hate it. I hate it. You know, I'm like
Zero human.
Human, agent. And now I have to say agent. It's the wrong word now. I'm like, I can't say agent anymore because it'll just give me another AI agent. But like the whole thing is like you've got to map out what I like to think about as your customer journey. And I think that more than ever is whether it be your customer journey or your value stream map, you need to actually map out how you work. And then what you need to do is understand why each step happens and where then it makes the most sense to apply AI. Because you know what? Those efficiencies are there. They're 100% there.
Totally.
So you just kind of applying the wrong
One
way.
of the things that it was a good friend of mine posted on LinkedIn. Oh God, LinkedIn. But
LinkedIn.
was actually the best way to roll out AI is to be boring.
Yes.
To be boring.
I love that.
I like that.
Don't try and be like, oh, I'm going to make this amazing, complex. Just actually, like you say, think about the specific process element that's actually going to make a difference. Find those bits, be boring about it, and like test it, validate, and roll.
And make the small incremental changes. It's the same thing we learn through any sort of big change, whether it be back in the day when you were rolling out software and developing it. You said, hey, we got to do in smaller increments because then we can learn and we can adapt and it feels better. Kind of the same with AI. And you know, the fascinating thing I found is that the thing is for us at Atlassian is we've been bringing in AI. Of course, you know, we're pushing it, but it's because we've been using it and we're trying to be very intentional about it. We built through our teamwork lab, we built new even plays of how our customers can now help to bring in AI that we're learning from. Things like one of my favorite plays we have is AI's role on your team. It's a play out there, and the whole idea is for you and your team to say, hey, we have access to Robo, let's say. I have access to Robo. Okay, let's talk as a team about who we are, what we do. It's like creating a team poster, but it's then saying very intentionally, what are all our roles and what's the role that AI is doing? And I think that's that key word. It's the role.
It's the role.
Because instead of just taking, you know, well, do that job, this willy-nilly, you're actually being intentional. You're doing a roles and responsibilities graph, but now you have AI as part of that.
Would you also, if just keeping on Rovo and keeping on theme, but would you also then say like, okay, well, actually we have multiple roles and multiple AI perspectives in here. So now you have your role, this AI agent, this AI agent, and then 100%. You can go from there.
We actually, one of the things to think about within Atlassian is you don't want to, and actually even when creating agents, you don't want to create an agent that tries to do it all. It's just like even like a person, the jack of all trades, the master of none, you know? And so the agents want to be very specific. But for us, we have agents that are around things like maybe legal or marketing. Like if I want, like I have an agent I go to for brand support. So if I'm like, hey, I built this new deck. Can you look through the deck and actually tell me what feedback you have? Help me make those changes. There's a very distinct agent for that. There's one we have, it's called a decision director. It helps us write DACEs, which are decision-making templates. It helps me do that. Now, before we had, you know, AI, before we had Robo, I had people who had roles that did those sorts of things. And the thing is, it was hard to get on their schedules. They were super busy with a whole bunch of other things. Now I have an agent I can have on my team, and I list them as part of my team. I'm using the decision director on my team because it's going to help us make decisions. And that's the idea. Is be intentional about it.
Be intentional. Okay. 100%.
So, Mark, I think one thing that is, I've certainly heard over the last couple, and I know that actually we're talking about at the next London CLC that's following straight away.
That's coming up on Monday. It's,
God, it's so quick round. But one thing that we've seen so many times over is people are expecting that AI to change the world, but what they haven't looked at is the knowledge that it's feeding them.
Garbage in, garbage out.
I'm so glad you both said that, right? Like, are there, if you are part of that rollout, part of this AI readiness for a business, like, is there specific things that you'd recommend the businesses to actually look at in terms of knowledge? Like, what would you do?
So here's the thing. If your knowledge is not in a good place, you shouldn't be touching AI yet. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm going to say it right now. You shouldn't be touching it yet. Now, of course, you can look at it and things like that. But the thing is AI is only going to be as useful as your knowledge. So what you should be doing now, I take it back slightly because what you can do is you can use AI to help you organize your data. You know, like you have access to Rovo, let's say, you know, you're a Atlassian customer, you're on our platform, you've turned it on. You can build an agent to help you look for discrepancies in your data.
Yes.
But you don't want to use it to help you make decisions yet.
Yeah.
You want to use it to help you find where issues are at. So maybe it's a consistent template. Maybe it's one of our actually a couple of our customers I've heard are starting to use it, where what they're using it with automation and an agent to actually look through Confluence pages, and they're looking for pages that haven't been updated in a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
and then what they're doing is when that certain amount of time comes up, the agent's now taking control and saying, all right, I'm going to go work with that person to find out whether or not this is still relevant. If it is, awesome, just confirm it for me, and I'll mark it as like a stamp and say it's good for another 6 months.
Cool.
If it needs updating, I'll work with them to help update it. And if it's not relevant anymore, I'll archive it for you. And the thing is, if you do that, you can then start making sure your data is right.
Yeah. Well, you and I have spoken before about how key it is to actually understand your knowledge lifecycle and thinking
100%.
It is. We don't want to stop someone ever making knowledge. Like, we want to empower people to share and diversify and things like that. But you also have to understand when that knowledge is no longer used. Right?
100%.
Yeah. When it's not useful, when it's gone stale. So it's like,
and that's where I think a big thing is finding ways to come up with your standards of how knowledge is captured. Because the thing is we don't want to stop anyone from creating knowledge, but we also don't want, which for many organizations is the Winchester house of Confluence. So I don't know if you're familiar with the analogy, but the guy who made the Winchester rifle, built a house, never stopped building. There's doors that open up the brick walls. There's hallways that lead nowhere. That's what Confluence looks like in so many different organizations. So what you can do is now you can use an agent to help you make sure that doesn't happen. Let's say I had this genius idea. I write a Confluence page and I put it out there as a knowledge article. I didn't know where it needed to go. I've got an agent who's trolling out there and it says, hey, this looks like a knowledge article. I'm going to reach out to the respective people. I'll reach out to the person who submitted and be like, hey, love your idea. I need you to help format it like this so I can put it in the right space.
Yeah.
And it will tell you, like, hey, maybe I want you to record a Loom video to explain it, then write it out in this. And it might say, hey, record me a Loom video, I'll do the rest. And again, it's all about, to your point, you don't want to make the giving of knowledge difficult. If anything, using agents to help you do that actually will make it easier for you to actually share and actually allow the agents to help kind of, move things around in a way so that way the data is organized. So that way when you start using it for decisions or helping you actually progress an idea, you can actually trust the data behind the scenes.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot. I think a lot of businesses need to get their knowledge right, obviously. But it's really great saying like, okay, I'm gonna start with my knowledge. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Oh, what do I do?
What do I do? Where do I start?
Exactly, right? There's got to be some sort of frameworks and kind of good best practice. I mean, we've spoken about best practices before throughout Confluence and Jira and everything, but is there anything specific about helping your knowledge get ready for
how does Atlassian do it?
for being fed in?
The first thing you got to look at is looking at what is your knowledge management lifecycle. And if you don't have one, if you're like, I don't know, your first step is to say, let's go look up what a knowledge management lifecycle is and bring that into our organization. Or if it's too big for your organization and you're just playing with it with maybe your department or even maybe your team, think about how do we want to maintain our knowledge? Because that's really what it starts out with, is saying, all right, what's our lifecycle? It goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. You might have like a 6-month, time frame where knowledge comes in. Maybe it's formatted in a certain way. I really think that's the best way to start things out because it actually, with the use of templates, with the use of AI to help you do that, it's amazing what it can do to simplify it. And you do that for a little bit. You go through, maybe you do a couple of weeks of actually cleaning up data. And at that point, you can then start plugging in agents to actually, and I'd say start with one. Try to get one working really well. And then what you start doing is you start looking for those opportunities. Again, you're going to have a vision. Your leader your CEO might say, I want us all using AI, to do all what is actually our report said that I think it was something like CEOs believe that 70% of jobs will have some sort of AI component in them or robotic.
70%
is huge. I think I gotta check the numbers, but I think it was some crazy number where it was like, and the thing is, I can believe it, whether it be, and that's not just technology, it's everywhere where you're going to be having some assistance. And so, yes, I can see a leader saying, yes, we need to be there. But the thing is, it's a vision. It's far away. It's something that you're not through yet. The first step is to start saying, how do we get there? And it's building that path. And it starts with knowledge management and then starts with intentional experiments. It goes back to building that first agent. It goes back to understanding why you're using AI, what its role is on your team, maybe in your organization, and again, starting to experiment. I think the biggest thing that a lot of organizations are getting wrong right now is they're putting AI in place and they think, just like many things, put it in place.
I'm gonna
one
get
and done.
away.
I've transformed. And actually, that one of the biggest things that peeves me is when I hear organizations that have an AI strategy.
Oh, okay.
AI is not a strategy. AI is a tool. Your
100%.
strategy
It's
is
a
to make
tool.
money as a business. Your strategy is to do that.
Interesting.
AI will enable it. It's just like the same companies that would have or should I say, no company would have had a word processor strategy back in the day, right?
Okay.
Do you think that?
Exactly.
No, that's silly. And that's why AI, it's a sexy word. Everyone's got to do it. So of course I'm going to come out and be like, well, that's our AI strategy. Well, no, what's our business strategy?
Business strategy.
And then
AI,
I'll help you figure out how you use a tool to become more efficient and effective at
100%.
that.
AI is just a tool in your toolbox.
Yes.
That
And
you use with your business.
And I think that's the thing that many organizations, and that's why we see, like going back to that 96% number, where they say 96% of organizations are not seeing fundamental shift, it's because they're approaching it from a tool perspective versus how do we leverage this tool to actually solve our business problems?
Yeah.
But is it also this part of actually just a lack of enablement training for end users? So a business walks in and goes, right, there you go. We've decided to buy ChatGPT.
We're gonna use AI,
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And,
100%.
So how do we use it?
Exactly, right. So you also may have had some amazing data. You may have had a really good idea. You've bought the right tool. You've done all that analysis, but you've then failed to train your
Unlike
users.
Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will not come. They will not, and that's the thing.
They'll just look at you, a blank stare.
Well, one of our pieces of information in that collaboration report was that we actually found when it came to enablement, that was a huge piece. People, if you didn't enable, it was a huge pullback in your usage. One of the things that best helped enablement, there's one thing to say, here's some trainings, things like that. The best thing we found to help you with enablement is if your leadership demonstrates themselves using it. Lead by example, right?
Yeah.
Go out there.
Okay.
If you're on a call, or like let's say you're on a call and you're using Loom AI to record your meeting, do the things.
Transcribe
As a leader,
everything,
go do it. Show them. If you're using AI to help make a decision, right there live, pull up an agent and show them. There's a lot of vulnerability right now when it comes to AI. A lot of people are kind of scared that they're going to mess it up.
I was going to say, but do you think actually this is because maybe your executive team is scared that they don't know like as much as they should be perceived to as know?
You know, it's fascinating because it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a two-sided coin here, because to your point, I can see that being part of it. But the other beautiful part of them actually trying to use AI is that now I can actually hide some of that kind of fear, because guess what? As a leader, I might not know something. I might want to look for something instead of saying like, oh, I don't know this. I should be able to ask AI and it can give me the answer. And I think to your point, I think you're right a little bit with that, is that I think there is always going to be that fear of like, I don't want to have to ask somebody how to use it. Yeah. But the thing is once you start using it, you start looking like you are able to get that knowledge a lot faster.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's the important part.
Okay. So since we're here, Mark, what are some things that you've seen that you've liked, kind of thing, from some of the announcements, from automation, AI?
I think automation actually is one of the things I'm excited for us doubling down and really talking a lot about it, because I think for me, when we think about AI, when we think about automation, automation allows AI to have a faux proactivity. Because one of the big things, I want is this is funny, but it's true, is I kind of want Clippy back.
You remember Clippy? The little Clippy?
Oh
my God.
Remember Clippy, you'd be doing something and
like
Clippy
tap on
would
your
pop
screen.
up because he's reading what you're doing. He says, hey, it looks like you're writing this. Do you want some help?
Yes.
And the problem I found is that with AI, if it's not giving me advice as I'm going, I might not think about it. And that goes back to our enablement conversation. Sometimes when it's not in my face, and I don't want it to be always in my face, but I want it looking out for me. And so I think automation is our first step to really allowing us to start creating Flippy 2.0. It's that ability to say, like, maybe you have, whenever something hits a certain workflow status, something gets triggered. So like a great example. New issue comes in through your product discovery. So your product discovery, new idea comes in.
JPD coming in.
You fill in all the information. All of a sudden, when you hit submit, an AI agent was created to do validation against your idea. And maybe it has some jobs it's doing. It's going to go out there and be like, hey, is this idea already exist in the database? Is this idea, what is everything filled out? Or like, what questions might this thing have?
Yeah.
And then what it will do is it will then pop up and then say, hey, you just created this issue. I think either one, maybe, can you validate? I think this already exists here. Or it's like, hey, I'd like to get some more information so that way we can make some better decisions around this.
Yes. Do you think actually, okay, again, keeping it on theme with some of the things like, if you can get some of those notifications and kind of like validation things, and you say like, okay, well, that opens in, let's say, RoboChat, and you start having that discussion and be like, okay, well, actually, I think this is different, but is this even a problem in like the wider industry, right? Do we need to now go and validate with the world and not just
maybe it does that too. Maybe it goes out there, and when you do that, it actually is programmed to do a little bit of market research for you and be like, hey, just want to let you know, this thing has been beating around the bush in the world for a long time. Here are the challenges it's experiencing. Based on what you're saying, I think it might not be the right idea for you to pursue this. Or maybe it says, hey, I'm finding in Google search, people are asking about this all the time.
Let's double down.
This is something you should prioritize high now because of that. So again, I think that's where you have that opportunity for it to not just look at what you have, but interact with the greater world.
I think for me, that's some of the announcements that I've loved is the skills. Being okay, so if we take the very simple use case that Mike gave on stage, which was about it was Mike, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was Mike.
I think it's so.
A couple of days ago.
We're going to say it was Mike.
It was a couple of days ago now, so it was Mike. But it was like, the very simple use case, which is, I don't want to send a bad email to my manager about this new idea. So, can we work with Gmail? Can we go and validate this? Can we go and find out who my manager is? Can you type that out like I was? And I thought that was really clever. But the big skill that I've loved was the fact that we can now go into the internet, we can go do the deep research and find out the bigger problem. Because I think one of the, again, kind of coming back to previous enablement and previous discussions, which is people seem to get so closed off when you start having these conversations because they're worried about IP, they're worried about other things being exposed. But actually, you still need to involve the world in your discussions.
100%. Well, and again, it's you're going out there looking for information, and that's what it is. I don't think you should ever, at the end of the day, let the AI agent in that case, tell you don't do this. What it's going to do is it's going to come back to you and it's going to say, hey, here's what I'd recommend you do based on that. And then we've got to use that human intuition, that human understanding to say like, okay, I see what you did there, but here is where I see the opportunity. And again, have that conversation. The agent's only going to know what it has, but I think it's going through that process, going through that dance, and having it exposed out there and having its ability to go and learn information and bring it back that allows you to then make hopefully more informed decisions, because we're still going to make bad decisions. That's all right. That's the whole idea. If we never made another bad product decision, a bad choice, we wouldn't be pushing ourselves hard enough, honestly. We would be playing it too safe.
Well, you wouldn't learn. I mean, the one thing that my dad always said is like, I want you to make mistakes.
Yeah, I want you to fail, right?
Because actually you're going to be better.
That's how you grow.
And I was going to say, if you go through life always being succeeding and doing this, first of all, you'd probably be unbearable.
You would. No one wants to have drinks with that guy.
No. But like it's but also I think those are the opportunities where you go, do you know what? That didn't quite work, but I think if I redo this, or actually I failed miserably. Right, and we've all had those moments.
It's like, okay, here's what's not to do now.
Well, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about, I think, when you bring AI into the conversation, it is next level rubber ducking. When you think about from a technology perspective, you get that rubber duck, you talk to it. At that point, you're just having a conversation with yourself. And you got something that talks back to you. And that way, now you spar with it. And guess what? It might push back on you on something you're like, I didn't think about that. Or you push back on it, and it's like, I didn't think about that. Now you're having a productive conversation to, yes, you will fail, and you should fail. But hopefully, you're not failing for dumb reasons. See, that was the one thing. You don't want to fail for dumb reasons.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Mark, what has been some of your favorite announcements so far from Team 25 Barcelona? So one of my personal favorites was the teamwork graph. Being able to have us as product partners, having our data in there as well.
It's so powerful.
To be accessible now, so that even Rovo can come through and find them others. So that was personally one of mine. Any other ones that you?
So a couple for me, I'm a big fan of is I love the ability to now bring Rovo on my mobile.
Yes, and the desktop.
Yep, and the desktop.
That's right.
That's the fun part. We've had that at Atlassian for a little bit. God, that's great. God, that's great. I didn't even know we had it on the mobile until they announced it. I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna go get that. And then the other one I really love, because it's a tool that I absolutely love. I will always love it. Is Loom. And and I think the neatest thing is allowing you to have some of that real life translation into different languages and the transcriptions, because I think that is so powerful.
Cool. So cool.
Because in a world like today where we're fully distributed, and you know what? Yeah, organizations might be saying go back to office. You're still going to be working with likely people in different parts of the world, different teams. So having that ability to have those conversations and not have a true language barrier anymore, like something that does that translation for you, and you're like, oh, I understand. And when I reply, they understand. That unlocks a new level of collaboration.
Easily.
But it's removing the confusion from work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It makes it smooth. And again, what it does, it allows you to focus in on the issues that are real, which is the work itself, not the superficial things that yes, you're experiencing, which is like a language translation or a barrier somehow. It's like, let's get rid of the barrier so that the things we focus on are the work, not those noisy things.
100%.
I think one of the final thing for me that I really resonated with, it was, I loved all the features, but one thing was the way Mike described AI enablement for individuals. And like that quote that he gave, it meant a lot, because it really makes people, well, I think it makes people anyway, understand that then it's not a replacement. You can't perceive it as replacement, but you are saving time and effort where it's no longer necessary. And you're cutting down on the waste, which I think every person...
Get rid of the noise, right?
We don't need that anymore.
Let us do... No one... back in the day when AI started coming about, we used to say this, and I still say this. It's like, no one... When you looked at that job description, when you signed up to take a job as a product manager, as a marketer, as one of these folks, none of it said, write 50 pages of copy. Go and attend 13 meetings.
Could you imagine, like, most people hate writing copy?
I know, right? Exactly. And to see, like, that, if that said that on the job description, no one would apply. And so let's actually get back to what that job description excited you about. Like, that's what you should be doing.
Well, I think that's a wrap for today's episode. Well,
thanks so much for having me, guys.
Very much.
Appreciate it. Always love that. And again, we got a road show coming up. We're going to Philly, Atlanta, New York.
Please say London.
Seattle. We're going to London on Monday. So,
of course it is. The
London
CLC. All right, well, I will see you there.
What was it? We've got Denver. We've got Vancouver. We've got a bunch of places in November. So if this gets out before then, be sure to find those events.
Come on out
and talk AI and practices.
Definitely. Definitely always go check out the Atlassian community. The stuff and work that those do is really, really important, and definitely helps spread more of the enablement that we've been talking about. Yes, thank you so much for joining, and until the next one,
see you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.